This is À Propos, and in this edition, our focus turns to the trial of Jean-Emile Pelicot, the French man who has admitted to enlisting dozens of strangers to rape his heavily drugged wife Gisèle over a period of 10 years. With the trial wrapping up in Avignon, the 72-year-old accused took to the stand and addressed the court for the last time on Monday, asking for forgiveness from his family. Judges on the case have now begun deliberations, with the verdicts set to be handed down on Thursday. Many here are waiting to see how those sentences compare to the average terms for rape, which is 13 years in France. Solange Moujon has more on how for many this trial has marked a turning point in France.
It is a trial that is significant because of both its scope and horror. 51 accused, nearly a decade of drug-facilitated sexual assault, with these mass rapes orchestrated by the victim, Gisèle Pelicot's then-husband. But it is also a trial that is significant because it touches on the tragically commonplace. It speaks to the experiences and fears of so many women and men. It begs the world to question society's view and treatment of rape. For the thousands who've protested against sexual violence since the trial began, and for the women and men who've come out daily to support Gisèle Pelicot, this must be a turning point.
Madame Pelicot is truly admirable. She's an example for all the women who want to lodge a complaint but haven't. There will indeed be a before and an after Madame Pelicot.
This is the history of women. It's a condensed concentration of all the pain, the unspoken words and the injustice. This woman, she's opened the floodgates of something. At last, at long last, we're being heard. And at last, no one can say that's not true.
When Gisèle Pelicot's trial began in Avignon in September, she explained her decision to hold an open trial as a means for the shame associated with rape to switch sides. That message and her courage has struck a chord in France and worldwide. In his final testimony, her now ex-husband, who pleaded guilty, also saluted her courage. The 5 judges in the case will now have to decide whether he'll receive the maximum sentence of 20 years. For the 50 other accused, they will also have to weigh the defense's arguments. Some of the accused claim that they were manipulated by Jean-Emile Pelicot. Others denied that their filmed acts were rape. Her lawyers say they should have understood what has become a rallying cry among many women, that rape is rape.
Here on À Propos, and we can now welcome to the conversation Sarah McGrath, the CEO of Women for Women France. It's a multilingual online resource centre for all victims of domestic abuse in France, and the professionals who support them. Thanks so much for joining us here, Sarah.
Thank you.
Every time that you hear a new comment from this trial, which has really captured the world at large, today we're hearing from Jean-Emile Pelicot himself. What are your emotions?
My emotions are always with Gisèle Pelicot, always. One thing that we're overlooked in the coverage of this case is actually how badly she's going. It's being subjected to rape or any type of sexual violence for any woman is absolutely heartbreaking, but she's expressed how difficult this has been. This is all orchestrated by a man that she loved and that she trusted in her home where she was supposed to be safe. She was gaslighted into thinking there was a problem with her health for so many years. Her husband accompanied her to doctor's appointments and said, oh, it's anxiety, it's stress, that's why she's forgetting things. All along, she was being drugged against her will. So my emotion is always with Gisèle, and we are so grateful that she's been so incredibly brave to make this case public, which she didn't have to do. We must remind ourselves of that.
I want to speak about the importance of making that public. What do you think it has given French women and society at large?
Well, I think what it's done is it's put a spotlight on what victims go through in the court case, but just a little bit, because we must not forget that Gisèle Pelicot, she is in a way the perfect victim and with the perfect evidence. She's got so much video footage of the crimes that have been, the alleged crimes that have been perpetrated against her. But still, she had defense lawyers saying, oh, but didn't you know about it? Didn't you, and really kind of attacking her credibility going almost as far to accuse her of lying. And so it has shown a spotlight that even for Gisèle Pelicot, being that perfect victim with all of that evidence, she's still going to be accused of lying. Now, the majority of women don't have hours, and the majority of victims don't have hours of footage. They have mostly their word, some physical evidence, and they go through so much in court. The majority of rape victims in France don't trust the French justice system. They don't even report it. We've only got 10% of rape victims reporting abuse in France because there is no confidence in the French justice system to protect them, with only 1 to 4% of convictions. I'm with them. I agree with them that the French justice is letting down victims in this country.
And that brings in your organisation, Women for Women France. So if you can just describe to our viewers what your organisation does, and then if you can also add on to that how this trial has maybe impacted your work specifically.
So what we focus on is we focus on supporting foreign-born women who are living in France and who are confronted with abuse, because there's obviously very specific challenges there, from language barrier through to the fact that abusers will often use their residency status to control them. And I must also call out that under French law currently, there is no protections against that kind of abuse. So we have a lot of foreign-born women living in France right now, tonight, who are under complete control of their French partner, who are being threatened with, if you don't do this or if you do this, I'm going to leave you and you're going to lose the right to residency and to live here. And they can't even take that to the police or to the justice system because there's no law saying that that's illegal. So that's what we specialise in. The way that it's changed things for us, to be completely transparent, look, victim services, our services are going to remain the same, but I think our advocacy is going to be focused on calling in men. We really need men to step up and to drive change in this area. It's not women. We're not out here committing crimes. We're not out here raping people. We're not abusing women. It's men who are doing it. And so even men who think that they are, one of the good guys and they haven't ever touched a woman, they're not at our protests. They're never at our protests. They're not at our events. They haven't made it their issue. And so we're going to be really calling on men to please join us and to please make this your responsibility, because it is you. It is all men who need to step up and drive change. Yes,
I was at the trial in Avignon, and even myself, seeing the queues of people lining up to this public trial, it was quite something for me to see that there were hardly any men still involved. How can we capture the attention of men on such an important issue?
I don't know what it's going to take. I feel like men are so scared, and they're wrong to be scared. I have a statistic here that I think most men need to know. They are 230% more likely to be raped by another man than to be falsely accused of rape. So just 230...
So can you say that again?
Yeah.
Exactly, because this is something very important to hear.
So all men are 230% more likely to be raped by another man than to be falsely accused of rape. So if men could please understand that, that's fact-based, that's research-based. There's been a big investigation that came up with that number. So I think let's drop the defensiveness and let's make this our issue. Even if you don't care about violence against women, maybe care about violence against yourself. So I don't know what else we can do to get men involved.
It's quite a sobering thought. I really just hope that this kind of case can open eyes in terms of information, because one of the things that was brought up when we heard from Gisèle Pelicot when she took the stand for the second time was from her lawyer, was the fact that this shed light on the fact that these are not men involved which are lurking in the shadows. These are very much men in day-to-day life who live amongst us and were very much part of the accused as being reportedly involved in her mass rape. How do you respond to that?
Well, this is exactly it. The profile of a perpetrator of these heinous crimes, they only have one thing in common. The one thing in common is that it's a man. It's any man from all backgrounds, from all levels of education, from all cultures. That's a really important thing to note as well. Women for Women France has research that there isn't more prevalent in one culture more than another. So we really do need to say, look, the perpetrators are men we love. They're men we know. They could be men that we've known our whole lives and we could never imagine capable of doing these things. We need to change the culture into one that believes women when they speak up. We know statistically that false reports are so low. We've got such a big scientific body of knowledge on this now. It's between 1% to 4% of false reports of gender-based violence. We need to be believing women. We need to be supporting women when they come forward. And I don't know how, but we need to find a way that there's space for men to actually assume what they've done and apologise for what they've done, because all men accused of rape, all rapists say, no, it wasn't me. Like we saw in this case, I think it was something like in the Mazan case, it was 32 out of 51 of the accused have said that it was not rape, that they would like to be acquitted.
And you're not buying any of those testimonies which say that they were coerced into this, they didn't know what they were doing. None of these hold water for you.
If a woman is unconscious, she cannot give her consent. It's that simple.
A very, very firm point to be made there. What are you hoping for the verdict on Thursday?
I hope that Gisèle Pelicot gets the result that she wants. That's the most important person in all of this story, and that of her children. We often think of children as indirect victims. That's not the case. They are direct victims. So we hope and then we hope that Gisèle gets to. She's talked about getting a psychological support. We hope that she gets all the support that she can, because this has been absolutely horrendous. We can see that.
And not just for her family, of course. Yeah. Can this finally change the laws in France at all?
There seems to be a huge resistance to changing laws in France. We have got terrible laws in France. For a country that prides itself of being a country of law, we don't even have specific domestic laws. We have generalist laws that we then are used to apply to prosecute complex domestic abuse cases. So we do need a huge reform in not only the laws, but also the justice system more widely. We need training for judges. We need unconscious bias training for judges, because there's a lot of prejudice within our justice system against victims. So there needs to be serious, profound reform, not small Band-Aid solutions and announcements that we've been seeing for the past 8 years and longer.
Thank you so much for all your insight. Of course, Sarah McGrath, the CEO of Women for Women France, talking there about the Gisèle Pelicot mass rape trial in Avignon. And that's where we end this version